season, and they're looking so fantastic, or they're on that redemption arc.
Yeah, I mean, even their team, Square One, is saying, they are the best Ghost team. I think Cloman even said it on his stream that Square One is the best team, if I'm not mistaken, not even just Goat's team.
Just everything. They're just, both these teams think that they're the toughest competition, and wow, what a start. Skyfoxes lose their Lucio, and under pressure here is Cloman, who gets swatted away there from Jolf. 2 down here for Skyfoxes, and it's Square One that take the first cap.
Yeah, so out of the gates, we do see Meta Skyfoxes opting instead for that more standard 3-3 composition. They come right out, Lastro being on the Zenyatta, and I do like this on Shrine here. I think this is going to be really good for them, but again, we're going to be able to see Square One squaring off with Skyfoxes on the composition that, again, they have said they are the absolute best at, and so far, given their performances, it looks like that's the case.
Cloman, he's already zapped down. He was trying to be so aggressive, pushing forward, and you gotta be careful. Once that Discord orb is on you, once the eyes of Square One are on you, you will not survive for that long, as it was FaZe that tried to take the attention from Square One off of their main choke point, but it will be Square One that keep the point, and FaZe, just a bit of a celebration, self-destruct to get back into mech, but Skyfoxes are ready to go again.
Oh, big advantage, though, having the Diva. There's the pin as well. They've opened things up.
Big grab from Buds to open things up for Skyfoxes. They're up by 1, now up by 2. No main shield for Square One as Skyfoxes, they retake the point.
What a heroic play from FaZe, actually. I mean, he came in there, finished off Hot Date, then they had the 6v5 advantage because he was somehow able to re-mech. I mean, I don't even know how he pulled that off, sliding across the top of the house there. But nonetheless, they come through, and that's a big advantage because that's a free grab that they get to lay down. Now Square One with an opportunity to try to retake with a grab of their own, right?
FaZe like, hey man, see you got a grab. I'm pretty hungry, and he didn't eat it. It's okay. Dove, though, nails the few of the Skyfoxes front line, and it's the rally from Attitude that might have given them some room to breathe. As Skyfoxes, they hold on for the moment. Cloman was able to get an earth-shattering ultimate he was looking for, and now the barrier is used to keep them up, and a responding grab from Buds, and look at Skyfoxes clear the skies, and Square One have to rethink this one again, and we're at a tie game.
Things are looking very good for Skyfoxes. Anybody who thought that they were basically just relying on the Sombra and a composition certainly has to feel dead wrong now, because they are playing so well with this 3-3 comp that they haven't really displayed all too much of. I mean, we've seen it before, but as we look to this next fight, Cloman gonna be looking to try to generate the rest of this Shatter so he can just lay them down. It's gonna be Shatter versus Shatter here.
Shatter versus Shatter. Where can Jolf find his? Cloman is down. It's a free Shatter, but Jolf might not even need it. You don't need to use ultimates if you have that advantage already. You can see Skyfoxes don't waste their time on trying to get any kills in a 6 versus 4, and they want to keep Buds' energy, and he's going to have grab for the next fight, so Skyfoxes don't want to waste time.
Here you also want to make sure that you're not giving away too much of that score line, as well as the ultimate charge for them to allow themselves to retake, right? I mean, they're coming back into this fight with effectively everything other than that beat. And that's going to be very dangerous because you still need to buy time for, Angelic to have the advantage there. You're going to go trans versus trans. You still have to get to your Graviton as well. So really buying time is the answer here for Square One.
And the grab is thrown first from Bud, self-destruct from FaZe. Square One used the Transcendence, but no barrier was needed from Angelic. Now you got Cloman Shatter, who clears the point, and a self-destruct from Hot Date's looking to do equally the same. There's a double kill for Square One, but Skyfox is not out of this one yet. They had just used the Transcendence from Lastro, and FaZe wants to keep the mech. Square One, they're keeping themselves grouped up thanks to the rally of Big Al, and now finding 2 kills on the supports of Skyfoxes, who now have to give this one up.
Oh, they hang on, Square One. What a good way to show off your level of composure, and looks like they're going to try to hang on here. Could potentially just jump right down on Cloman.
Cloman butted heads with Jolf, and that's not the first time we've seen that happen, and we were expecting Skyfoxes to use the Sombra. That's what they've been centering their strategies around, but now going against a GOATS juggernaut of Square One, they might be confident enough to take the GOATS matchup, but it's not going to be on that point.
I wonder, if we're going to be seeing that a little bit, down the line, of course. But the thing about Skyfoxes that you really have to be impressed about is the fact that they have run things that are so differently. You don't see that Sombra Ana being used by virtually anybody else right now. A lot of teams will play it along with the Zenyatta. They still want to be able to push aggression into the Reinhardt, when those openings are created. But you see something even more different here. Meta Skyfoxes, they're going to be playing Buds on Hanzo with the Pharah, going straight dive into this composition coming out by Square One. That's effectively the 3-3, but with an Orisa.
So Skyfoxes have a little bit more mobility here with this Winston. And look at where Clone Man's going, all the way to the back. But it's mainly Attitude and Buds are trying to break down the shield of the Orisa, while Clone Man tries to find an opportunity onto the supports. But now Skyfoxes focus on the objective, and Square One set up their shield right on the point. Wow.
This is just great preparation. I mean, so far you can see Square One just able to make the correct rotations and insulate the rest of their team. And you can utilize the map geometry to do that, right? Right off the point, you have a safe spot to get away from Attitude and Buds, and that's going to force at least a little bit of a swap here from Meta Skyfoxes, because they can't play around that at all.
Yeah, Hanzo Pharah would have just been too difficult to break through such a tiny doorway. And even sticking with the Winston, which Clone Man wasn't able to find a successful dive at the beginning, but now knows this is the answer against this Orisa bunker comp of the Square One. As Skyfoxes, they step onto the point, they focus down on Jolf, who's getting all the healing that he needs, and Skyfox is not enough for them. Mac drops, no speed for Skyfoxes, no Mech and no Diva, as Square One up by 3. They should be able to keep the point.
Really good pivot there from Square One, playing defensively, grouped up, and then saw that Mac was actually very, very vulnerable in that position. Now Meta Skyfox is looking to try to retake here, now that they're starting to build into some of their ultimates, right? It's going to take time to get to that point. They made their swaps later, but now we're starting to get to that stage where the Meta Skyfoxes should have a decent shot. Unfortunately, they need to start pulling ultimates away from Square One, or they will not have the advantage they're looking for.
They need to stop this momentum from Square One. There's 6 ultimates on the board. This is their fight to win. Can you set up FaZe to eat this grab? He's going to be using the Matrix, focusing it down, not able to go for the eat self-destruct from Hot Date with a barrier. Square One are using everything here, and not a ton of kills are actually going their way. It's a 1-to-1 trade, and Skyfox is grouping up. They're trying to punish and push Square One into the small corridor, and it's back and forth between these two teams. FaZe is going to have the self-destruct, but is booked off the map. It's not going to get the value he's looking for, and Square One still have a leftover supercharger as Jolf will be coming back into this fight, but the rest of his team are stuck into a grab, and Skyfoxes pounce on them, and at 99%, Square One will be able to give this one up to Skyfoxes.
So they come away with, lacking a little bit of what they would need for a retake. It's going to take some time, I think, now for Square One to, get their footing a little bit once again, but playing against this primal advantage that Meta Skyfoxes is going to inevitably have, you definitely need to swap off of the Orisa now that, you're going for a retake. You don't want the Orisa anymore. So they go over to the Winston. Now you have the opportunity to get aggressive. You can start forcing pressure onto the back line. Got to be careful of Attitude in these situations, especially with Rally available as well, but they can basically control this however they want.
They need to do it with the mobility of their Winston that they swap to. It's a 2-to-1 now for Square One as they chase after the exposed supports of Skyfoxes. You had Lastro over on Pillar side that was completely ignored for some time, and Square One are doing a fantastic job of dividing Skyfoxes and taking advantage of their mistakes.
All right, FaZe trying to get the... Oh, Joel! No! Oh, no, you hate to see it. You absolutely hate to see it.
Skyfoxes hold on because of that, and I think, was he trying to bubble it? I don't know, but...
Well, he was trying to finish the kill off on FaZe there, but FaZe went for the mech reset effectively, and that... Joel just fell off and then tried to save himself, and unlucky. But, now we see Dove. He's got the Graviton. I think this could be enough that, they have the trans available as well. They have to make sure that they get a kill very quickly, make sure that Clone Man can't do much here.
There's no No self-destruct, and you don't even need it. They choose to solo grab Clone Man, get the main tank out of the picture. He had Primal, so that would have been really deadly to use on a point just like Sanctum, as Skyfoxes used both their support ultimates, the Barrier and the Transcendence, as they try to surround the players from Square One who hold on to their Transcendence. And Angelic has been finding these boops, these environmental kills that are catching Skyfoxes off guard and slowly coming together here as Square One at 99%. It's actually 99 to 99 before the flip, and Skyfox is on the back foot, and Stub even has a leftover grab. This has been decisively for Square One here on Nepal.
Certainly Sanctum a little bit more dangerous, but either way, they get the job done. And I was actually going to say, you know, clearly both of these teams did a good job in prepping for this matchup. You can see that they definitely know what the other wants to do. You saw that even with the composition that came out initially, running the Hanzo, running the Pharah together. You know that Square One wants to run the Orisa 3-3 there. That's what they've done in the past a couple of times, and that's what they feel is probably the strongest on this map, and that's a good composition. However, it's not that strong on this particular map, especially given the way that Square One played it. So obviously a lot of prep work came into this matchup. You can see they're playing this very, very intelligently and getting off on the right foot on a control map style. You can see how Square One benefited from that because, again, that was a lot more dangerous on Sanctum for them, but they have the 1-0 lead now.
Both these teams are very strong on control, though, but it was Skyfoxes that dropped Busan against Bermuda. That was their only control loss in this entire trials. And I think Skyfox is maybe used to running more of the Sombra and this time trying out the goats and maybe realizing that, okay, they actually are the best goats team in trials. Is this going to be the composition that Skyfoxes are going to be continuously trying to push? Or do they really think that Buds has no chance on the Sombra because someone like Hot Day, like you mentioned, is just going to spy check him and kind of not let him have that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons I think why you would want to play away from the Sombra Ana in a lot of these maps. I think it's going to become a lot more map dependent than what it's been so far. And I think a big reason for that is because of how good Square One is, and how good Hot Date is, as you mentioned. And I think going forward, we're definitely going to be seeing a little bit more of the Sombra Ana, especially as we get away from the control style maps rather. But still, though, I think we're going to see more in this matchup of the regular 3-3 from Skyfoxes than we've seen in any of their other matchups.
And not only have they been playing more Zarya than their Sombra player on Buds, but Lastro also on the Zenyatta instead of the Ana. We kind of were hyping up Skyfoxes for all these very unique strategies that have been actually executed successfully in trials. And I wonder if this is going to be the map, especially now on their attack or defensive Numbani, where they can take advantage of that high ground, especially with Lastro on the Ana, or if they're going to be trying to keep forcing the Goats versus Goats matchup.
Yeah, I think this is a good map for them to pick, right? For the exact reasons that you highlighted, Numbani offers up a lot of high ground opportunity, offers opportunity for you to even play, Winston-based compositions as well, if you want to, especially on that first point. So the dynamic here is that you play into the Sombra, especially on point 1. You play into the Ana if you want to as well, but be careful of Hot Date, and I think you have a good shot of making a solid hold and playing into the time bank thereafter.
So we saw that we had this discussion at the beginning, right, between Clone Man and iRemix, and now it seems that on Numbani, it will be iRemix that steps in for Clone Man as the main tank. And do you think maybe it was because of the loss on control? Are they trying to switch things up playstyle-wise?
I think it's got to be the Winston, right? It's got to be the Winston, right? That has to be what they want to do here. Certainly, you're going to see Remix playing a Reinhardt, especially into the final stages of the map, but I think the reason why you put Remix in on this map in particular, and you pick this one specifically, is because you want to play Winston. You want to play a little bit more aggressively, and you want to control space as much as you possibly can. Again, still maybe playing into the Sombra here, but I think really this enables Lastro more than anything else because he's not going to have everybody breathing down his neck at all times.
Absolutely, and there's just so much experience. If you've seen me cast Skyfoxes many times, I just gloat about all their experience on this team. You talk about iRemix from LA Gladiators, the only Overwatch League player in Trials that I know of. You got FaZe from Stormquake of Contenders Korea. You got Attitude, or known as Venture, from Contenders China. Buds from Team Envy from Contenders North America. Lastro, also on Stormquake. There's just so much veteranship on Skyfoxes, but they're going up against Square One, who are equally veterans of the game, but they just seem to have such a better grasp on the GOATS meta than Skyfoxes so far.
So here they will be once again playing a counter composition here for Skyfoxes on the attacking side, really just looking to chip away at the defenses. But Moira being played by Square One, I really like this into the DPS composition that Meta Skyfoxes are pulling out. They could survive the onslaught here being brought to the table by this attacking team.
If Square One have to play together, but they might have just given up the first tick here to Skyfoxes because they've just been playing out of line of sight. Finally, Square One are going to drop down now as a team, as it's going to be up to Hot Date to chase away Attitude, try and matrix some of these rockets. But Skyfoxes, now they move as a unit because of this, because mainly they want to play around Buds' hacks and the poke damage from Attitude, but they're still happy with walking away from a tick after that fight.
This is something that Square One likes doing. We've seen it from them in the past, where they bring out the Moira, especially against teams that they expect to be running DPS compositions, and they can deal with the Sombra a little bit more effectively this way because you don't have that Zenyatta that's so susceptible to that harm from both Attitude and Buds with those heroes that they're picking. And now, you know, you don't have much of a worry when you start building into those coalescences. You can sustain a lot of this chip damage, and it's all about closing things out and being aggressive when the opportunity arises.
Oh no! Skyfoxes lost Attitude, and Angelic is just killing the DPS players of Skyfoxes. But I was going to mainly say that they're trying to set up an EMP barrage, a very effective combo to get themselves on the point, but somehow Angelic's popping off, and even Ultraviolet.
Such a good combo, right? I mean, such a good combo to pull that out, especially because you want to disable Dove, Joel, Hot Date. There's nothing to deny the pressure that comes out from the barrage, but how can you even pull it out when you can't get to the point? I mean, it's so tough, especially when you have that fragging Lucio of Angelic.
And especially how even if they dive Ultraviolet, the Moira can just fade out. There's a lot of escapability with that support, but not from Attitude at that moment. As now a grab is thrown from Dove, it only catches iRemix. The double kill, self-destruct from FaZe. Hot Date only getting one, but the attacking team lost their Mercy. That big source of healing, at least for Attitude, as Lastro will have to put the team on the back. Attitude drops the barrage at the front doorway, won't survive to tell the tale, as Square One 3 versus 2 as the Primal Rage is unleashed here from iRemix, seeing if he can at least even up the odds for Skyfoxes, who get their second tick. And Square One, though, they're starting to stabilize on this defense.
Oh, Max under pressure, and Coalescence has now been built by Ultraviolet coming back into the fight. What a great rotation, actually, and great help coming from his teammates, getting Ultraviolet back into the fight so that they could take down the Lucio, who was sustaining there. And now we see a full swap from Meta Skyfoxes in desperation. I mean, they've been full held so far, and now they don't have any kind of leads to get into the fight, playing into a Coalescence as well. This is going to be a tough ask for Meta Skyfoxes to get in there and get the job done, especially given that Jolf has a shatter as well.
Jolf has the shatter, iRemix, no more bubble. Oh, and he gets stunned. He might have gotten a few into the back. And meanwhile, the Coalescence is pressuring Skyfoxes back. They've lost iRemix, they've lost Lastro. There's 20 seconds left, and Skyfoxes are nowhere to be found. If they can quickly get back, they'll have some attitude. They'll have some attitude to work with, but he's dead right now. But they'll have some ultimates to maybe start things off.
Going into this next fight, though, you have to be careful. Both of these divas are going to have their self-destructs, and they can really clear the field and open up opportunities to just dive in onto these Reinhardts. Both of them will be susceptible here, so it's all about protecting your main tank.
You gotta protect iRemix, but they couldn't protect Lastro, and now Remix just got booted to another country. Self-destruct from FaZe. There's just not a lot of coordination from Skyfoxes, but looking at their third tick here, they're grouped up on the point. Jolf, though, almost bursted down, and there's a self-destruct from Hot Date. doesn't get much, but FaZe should be out of mech thanks to that pin from Jolf, and 2 members left from Skyfoxes who use their own grab. Traps a few of Skyfox or from Square One, but the Coalesces and the barrier from Angelic is just so much healing, so much sustain from Square One. Just when you think Skyfoxes, they have the upper hand, they get a few picks, they have the ultimates, Square One group up and they heal themselves up and they win the later fights.
Oh, Jolf sustaining. A lot of healing coming from this Moira. There's just not enough pressure coming from Meta Skyfoxes. They can't clear this.
Well, they're stalling a lot for time, though. It's that Hammond from iRemix that just never dies. This is building some time for the rest of Skyfoxes to get back. iRemix about to get mines. If he can catch maybe some supports, you know, that accidentally walk into his mines, drop some mines, but it's going to be Jolt that just hammers them away just like some golf balls, and that's not going to be Skyfox's chance to get on this point, but they will walk away with 82.6%, and Square One, the winning condition will be set. They can at least get the point on their next attack. They'll be up 2-0 in the series.
Oh no, Square One just looking so good right now. I mean, remember though that this is Skyfox's map pick. I mean, they had a plan going into this, but that plan just simply did not work. And Square One have met another DPS composition with the Moira 3-3, and it has worked again. I mean, time and time again, we see them pull this out. They have the answers ready. They are so prepared. And obviously their coaching staff has done such a good job making sure that this team is ready for anything that's going to be coming their way. And they have met the DPS easily with the Moira. And I really like the way that they're doing this. Now that they're going to be attacking, though, I mean, they have so many options. All you need is 82.7%, and you're walking away with a 2-0 lead.
Over Skyfoxes of all teams, so this has been maybe less close than I thought. And you bring up the Moira of Square One, which actually is a surprising pick to me, considering Skyfoxes are known for their Ana play, especially last year actually playing it. And no fear, because I didn't see that many anti-heals from last year. He was more focusing on keeping iRemix and the rest of the team alive because they were starting to split apart. And the Moira worked actually quite well against Attitude's Far. They were able to just have extra healing from the Moira to survive the poke engagements from Skyfoxes.
And I like the protection that we're seeing from them as well. I mean, we already mentioned, you know, how impactful Hot Date needs to be in this matchup, and so far he's done his job. Yes, it hasn't been very flashy. We haven't said his name very often, but the fact of the matter is that the rest of the team is alive, and a lot of that comes down to careful placement of defense matrix, making sure that you're constantly being aware of what is coming at you so that you can deal with everything that comes your way.
Square One spending some time to make up their composition, might be sending Dove out on a scout. Although he was known for his Sombra play in open division, but it will be the usual Zengoats that comes out from Square One. But what's interesting here is the Reinhardt instead of the Winston.
Yeah, so they're going to have to play high ground here. They're going to definitely try to chip away onto Remix and then wait for Remix to get that full re-engage after that first dive. They're going to have to dive on top of that Winston quickly.
Wow, they're really being aggressive. Jolf is leading the charge. Now they're on the point. Skyfoxes can't afford to lose anyone. A fight loss here might be just Square One taking the point. Now they've lost iRemix, they've lost their Diva. Skyfoxes, their whole front line just crumbled. All you have to do is give Jolf a speed boost, shoot him with some heals a little bit, and he'll just kill the enemy team. That's just insane how easily Square One took that point on Numbani, and now they'll be up 2-0 in the series.
That's a definition of dominance being asserted, right? I mean, you go in, you see the Winston, you see this composition, you change yours to a Reinhardt setup, right? You walk right in. I think Square One played this beautifully. I think they were able to get control before, you know, any sort of impact was made by Remix, but I think, honestly, we've seen Skyfoxes play this composition on this particular point better in the past. I think they should have been a little bit more aggressive, play into the aggression, the high-tempo style of play that you need from your Winston so that you can fall back, you know, create that space, fall back, get your hard reset, go in, try to get a pick instantly, and then go for primal advantage from there. They were a little bit too timid, I think, on their first engagement. They wanted to play things slow because they knew that they couldn't lose a single fight. And I think that might have hurt them in the long run.
And this was mainly because Skyfoxes couldn't even get the point on all their attempts, and they've tried everything from the Sombra Pharah, which seemed like they had the combo, and then you had Angelic as the Lucio come out of nowhere and frag both your DPS players. So it was kind of a question mark as to how that happened, because Skyfoxes, you see them come into trials and you know they have really stacked DPS players that should have been able to especially take the point at the very least, but this was a surprising showing for Skyfoxes.
But remember, Skyfoxes have been in this situation before. They've been down 0-2 or 0-2 in a matchup like this, and they've turned things around by going to none other than Volskaya. They had a reverse sweep last week against Bermuda that they won 3-2, obviously, by taking it to Volskaya, regaining control of the matchup. They had momentum, they pushed with it, and guess what composition they did it with? It was the Sombra Ana that got the job done, and we saw it working so effectively. Buds, Lastro working in sync. They need to have that working here again, or else their hopes of finishing this out and getting the W are completely dashed.
Well, we'll see if Skyfoxes can take back the series in their hands.